OK, let's now speak to Dr. Thienminh Dinh, an emergency physician with Doctors Without Borders, working at the Jabal Amal Hospital, that's near Tyre in southern Lebanon, joining us live from there. Doctor, thank you for taking time out of your day to speak to us here at Al Jazeera. I'm sure you've been very busy. Can I ask for an update, really, on what's the medical and humanitarian situation where you are exactly?
We are south of the Litani River, and what we are seeing here is essentially a daily bombardment on civilians, and we are seeing daily civilian casualties and injured. In the last 24 hours, we've had so many traumatic amputations that we've run out of arterial tourniquets. Last week, there was a day where civilians actually returned to their homes on the south thinking potentially it could have been safe, and within a few hours of having returned, there was a 7-year-old girl whose family was bombed. She was one of the lucky ones. There were 8 members of the family who were left buried underneath rubble. And these are things that essentially we're seeing on a daily basis.
So, Doctor, you've just mentioned there's some of the amputations that you've had to carry out. What are the other cases that you are seeing? And in terms of resources, what can you do if you're running out at this point in the war?
You know, we are seeing traumatic brain injuries. We've had children whose bodies, whose intestines were riddled with shrapnel, just torn apart. In the same week, we've had children whose bowels were eviscerated, so their intestines were on the outside of their bodies, and often patients have a combination of all of the above injuries. And on top of their physical injuries, there's profound psychological trauma that comes with having your homes taken from you, being displaced, losing family members and being injured. A few days ago, we had to console a boy who was orphaned by an airstrike.
And Doctor, people in Lebanon have been through so much over the last few decades. They already were under an Israeli occupation. There was a civil war. We've also seen an economic crisis. There was the Beirut explosion. So this just kind of makes the situation so much worse when it comes to the humanitarian crisis. So as a doctor, what do you think needs to be done to ensure that people are being helped in Lebanon as this war continues? What is needed, perhaps financially or even resources exactly?
I think we need to ensure that supplies are able to get in. Every single bridge bar one has been bombed, and the supplies are actually afraid to come down to these hospitals now because they know it's not safe. And what I also think we need is for people to pay attention to what's going on, because what we are seeing daily here on the ground is this kind of normalisation of a world where civilians can be bombed, civilians can be killed. We are seeing paramedics being bombed. Just a couple of days ago, the Lebanese Red Cross station was bombed, and we received casualties from that. And we're seeing the mass displacement and forced evacuation orders of 1/5 of the entire population of Lebanon.
OK, thank you very much for speaking to us there. Dr. Thienminh Dinh, an emergency physician with Doctors Without Borders, speaking to us from southern Lebanon.